A burning station in need of evacuation is a perfect opportunity to make some extra cash and collect some materials. In this video, we'll discuss the ship builds and the best way to complete the missions involved. After a station comes under attack, a rescue ship is dispatched and stationed nearby. Missions are then created asking commanders to assist with passenger evacuations and the collection of materials. These will include things like escape pods, black box data, and other valuable station resources. While this work can be hazardous to both pilot and ship, a properly outfitted ship and a methodical approach to the rescue operation will keep you safe while you earn valuable credits and get passengers safely to the rescue ship. To find stations in distress using the galaxy map, look for the bright orange hazard icons, like we see here in multiple star systems following a series of recent Thargoid attacks. Looking at the system map, you can see that the Cavalieri station is in distress and has a rescue ship stationed nearby. Before we talk about the rescue operation, let's take a quick look at the important elements for a ship build. Almost any ship will work for these types of missions, but the more space you have for passengers, the more money you'll make on each evacuation run. Cargo space is also important, but as you'll see, you'll only need space for about 50 tons or so. As such, economy passenger compartments are the most important factor. Keep in mind, commanders, it's going to be hot in there. This station is on fire and explosions are going to be all around your ship. Because of this, you'll also need a good supply of heat sinks. If you've become reliant on your auto docking computer, you're going to need to revisit your landing skills for this mission. Auto docking will not be an option for you on a damaged station. I'll be using a Type 9 that I usually use for freight runs, as it can hold 752 tons of cargo with minimal shielding. For station rescues, I've swapped out most of the cargo racks for economy passenger modules. I left one 256-ton cargo rack and swapped out the rest for passenger modules. I really should have made this one a passenger module and kept one of my smaller cargo racks, because as you'll see, I really didn't need that much space. I also replaced some cargo racks with a couple of collector limpet controllers to make it fast and easy to collect the escape pods and other materials floating around inside the station. And while we're on the topic of limpet controllers, when you get ready to head out on this mission, don't forget your limpets. In the utility slots, I've replaced my point defense turrets that I use for pirate defense on cargo runs with 4 heatsink modules. You'll see why. That's pretty much it. The rest of your outfitting really doesn't matter that much. This is why this type of operation can be done with a wide variety of ships. Setting up the fire groups is pretty straightforward on this as well. I've got my collector limpets set to my primary fire button across all groups, and then the heatsink launchers I've got set to the secondary trigger across multiple groups. This will allow me to continually release collector limpets as old ones expire or get damaged, and then as needed, I can cycle through my various heatsink launchers once they become depleted. Okay, we've got our ship outfitted, we've got collector limpets on board. Now it's time to target the station and head out to rescue some people. The passenger rescue missions we'll find on board the station once we dock. The missions for collecting the materials on board the station are found on the rescue ship. But as you'll see, it'll make more sense to go collect as many materials as we can and then bring those back to the rescue ship and select the appropriate missions. Okay, Commanders, there it is. Cavalieri Station, set ablaze and in need of rescue.
Commander, flight control here. This station is in a state of emergency. Approach at your own risk. I repeat, approach at your own risk.
Now, despite the emergency status, we'll still need to request docking permission as we come up on the station.
Copy that, Commander. We've assigned a landing pad for you. Be careful.
Okay, as I line up for the mail slot, I've gone ahead and lowered the landing gear and opened up the cargo scoop, getting ready to deploy my limpets and allow them to start collecting as soon as we enter the station. Temperature is going to spike immediately, so we'll be ready to deploy heat sinks and look for our landing pad and line ourselves up for that.
Approach is good. Keep an eye on your temperature gauge, Commander.
Okay, I'm deploying the limpets. There's our landing site. I'll go ahead and point my nose down at that. I'm going to stay just above the landing pad, but with my nose pointed down at it so that I can leave adequate space underneath the ship for the collector limpets to move in and out easily. I want to stay here over the pad and away from the other debris so that as soon as we've got all the materials collected, we'll fire off our last heat sink and lower ourselves down onto the pad. Once we get in there, they'll pull us into the cargo bay. We'll be safe from the heat for a while. There you can see the collector limpets doing their thing. Okay, I just released another heat sink. I cycled to my next group. While that's all happening, I'll go ahead and synthesize some extra heat sinks to replenish the one that I just depleted. Okay, and also the whole time I'm in here, I'm holding down my primary fire button. That's the one I've got mapped to my collector limpets. That way, as collector limpets expire, running into debris and other things, it'll continually send out collector limpets without me having to think about that. And basically you just want to get into a rhythm here of deploying heat sinks, keeping your collector limpets active out there. As you run out of heat sinks in one fire group, cycle to the next, start the synthesis process, let that run in the background, come back, again monitoring the heat, keep an eye on the collector limpets. Essentially we're just waiting for the collector limpets to come back and tell us that there's no more valid targets available. Once we've collected everything, it'll be time to land the ship. Now do keep an eye on the time. When we enter the station, you only have a certain amount of time before you need to land on the station, otherwise you're going to incur a fine or penalties. So we'll keep an eye on that, but it shouldn't be an issue. As you'll see at the end, there's only about 30 or so materials floating out there in the station, so we should have plenty of time for the collectors to do their job before we run out of heat sinks and before time expires. Okay, I think you guys have the idea. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward a little bit to the point where we've collected everything that's out there and move into the next phase of this operation. Okay, we've got one limit reporting no valid collection targets available, so we'll just wait for the remaining limpets to come back with whatever they're carrying as well, and then we'll start the landing process. Okay, here comes the last one. Alright, so no more targets out there. We'll go ahead and proceed to land and get out of the heat. Fire off another heat sink on the way down, and then another one just before we go under the deck. Okay, now that we're under the deck, we're safe from the heat, so we can kind of take our time at this point. We're going to go in and we're going to look for the passenger missions that we want to pick up. As you can see, there's plenty to choose from. I'm going to sort mine by materials because I'm less interested right now in the monetary reward and more about getting rewarded with some rarer materials. So I sorted it. I'll go through and I'll just pick the mission, and then I'll just let it autofill up all the cabin space that I have. It's all in economy, so it's just going to stuff as many people into the passenger compartments as it can. I'll just repeat this process till we've run out of room, and then we'll get out of the station. Okay, we filled up all the seats, so now we'll get ready to head back up to the surface. Now bear in mind, as soon as we start the process of leaving the station here, once we hit launch and that door opens on the top, the heat's going to start coming in, so the ship's going to start to heat up. Unfortunately, we can't set off any heat sinks until we actually lift off the pad. So you're going to take a little bit of heat damage here, but as soon as we get to the surface, just go ahead and execute your launch and immediately fire off a heat sink. That'll cool things back down. And now we can just head for the mail slot and work on getting out of here. Do be careful, don't rush, don't panic, take your time, get out of the mail slot. Last thing you want to do is get stuck in the mail slot and end up incurring a fine or worse, getting shot. So we've got plenty of heat sinks to use, that's why we didn't use them all up when we were in the station. Wanted to make sure we had some available as we left the mail slot, just in case we did get hung up on some debris or something. Now we'll just go ahead and target the rescue ship. Head over that way. As you can see, the rescue ship's real close. It's going to be a really quick jump. So only about 500 kilometers away, so pretty much as soon as we engage the drive, we'll be exiting back out of the jump and find ourselves right next to the rescue ship. Alright, here we are, approaching the rescue ship. Go ahead and request our docking permission for that, and bring ourselves in. Okay, we'll make some repairs, rearm everything, and let's go downstairs and get these passengers off. Do that first, turn in all of our passenger missions. Okay, the passengers are off, so now it's time to look at what we collected with our collector limpets. As you can see here, it's a variety of stuff. So we'll just take a look at what we've got collected, and now we'll take a look at the available missions from the rescue ship, and we'll just select the missions that'll use up the materials that we collected. Okay, so the first thing I'm looking at here is kind of the number of items. You can see everything here is pretty much looking for 4 items. In what we collected, we've got a few that are less than 4, but then we've got some that are more than 4. Again, I'm sorting it by materials because I'm more interested, again, in the materials than the money. So we've got some escape pods here, both occupied and damaged, and a variety of other things. So we'll just go through. We'll find a mission that's got a material that that I'd like to have, and we'll start with this occupied escape pod. We'll accept that mission, and then I'll just go ahead and turn those in, and that should get rid of all the occupied escape pods that I had. We'll take a look and see if there's any remaining. Alright, see I've got a couple of them left over, but it's less than 4, so we'll sell those at the end unless we want to go back and do some more missions. And then we'll just do the same for everything else that I've collected. So everything that I've got with 4 or more, I'll go find a mission that has the reward that I'm looking for, and then I'll hand those items in and complete that mission. If you want to keep doing this, then you can kind of rinse and repeat. You know, keep the remaining items that you have, head back over to the burning station, collect as much stuff as you can, and then come back and find the appropriate missions. Okay, so right now all the materials I have are less than 4, so there's no more missions that I could turn in for these. So I can either sell them and be done, or if I want to continue going back and forth to the rescue ship, I can do that. So I'm going to choose to end things here and go ahead and sell off the remaining materials. So I'll just go into the search and rescue under the contacts, and then each of the remaining materials, I'll just sequentially go through those and sell those off. As you can see, you're not getting very much money for it. I'm basically just trying to empty my hold so that I can be done with this. Okay, as you can see, we got rid of everything except for this encrypted correspondence. You won't be able to sell that to the search and rescue contact. Instead, interestingly enough, you're going to go into the commodities market, and while it won't normally appear there, if you do have these items on hand, you'll notice that encrypted correspondence is now something that you can sell in the commodities market. So we can get rid of that there. Again, not much money for it, but we've emptied the hull at this point, and we can go on to other things. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please consider giving it a like down below and help the channel. Also consider subscribing for further content. Until the next time, Commanders, we will see you out in the deep sky.